Massive week ahead for Manchester United with 3 medicals set to take place today. I think it's the most medicals we've ever had in one day. McTominay to Fulham is one to watch for this week, with Manuel Ugarte waiting in the wings to become a United player. And apparently United are now leading the race to sign Mario Hermoso. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this morning's show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 1,000 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm live every single day at 8:30, 1:30 and 6. We're on the brink of hitting 37,000 subscribers. So if everybody who's watching today who isn't subscribed gets involved, we should hit that by the end of today. Right, I want to start the show off with some positivity because we can confirm that De Ligt and Mazraoui are currently on a private jet flying to Manchester. If anybody wants to see the footage, then I have just posted it up on my Twitter account. I've just dropped a link into the chat to do that. The Twitter is @DailyRedDevil. So if you want to go and check that out, both of the players arrived at Munich airport this morning. De Ligt and Mazraoui, there's videos of them both arriving at Munich airport. Apparently they are flying to Manchester right now and they will be doing their medicals later on today. So that's amazing news. I'm super, super happy about these two signings. I think it's going to be an amazing. I think it's going to really, really transform our defense, to be honest. And I know there's some people who are like, "Oh, why are we signing so many old Ajax players?" Like, I don't really care where they've come from. If they're the best players available and that's who our scouting team have identified, then go and get them. It doesn't bother me whether they're people who've played for Erik ten Hag in the past. Like, it doesn't make any difference to me. As long as they're good, as long as they, can do the job that we need them to do, I think it's only a bonus, that they've worked with Erik ten Hag before. So really, really happy about that. If anybody wants to watch the videos, you have to go over to Twitter. I can't put the video on here. So yeah, if you go over to Twitter, I've just dropped the videos there. I've just dropped a link in the chat. So if you want to see the videos of De Ligt and Mazraoui getting on the plane to come to Manchester, I've literally just dropped that in the Twitter. So go and have a look at that right now. So yeah, we should get, I think, a double announcement today, which will be amazing. A double announcement, Mazraoui and De Ligt. If I was Manchester United and I was in the marketing team, right, I would definitely do that 100%. I would have both of them be announced at the same time. Erik ten Hag in the middle, Mazraoui and De Ligt either side of him, something like that. That would be a really, really clever bit of marketing. So, yeah, I think by the end of today, we should get them in the shirts. Obviously, they'll go and do the photos. They'll go to Old Trafford. They'll do a video. Like, we'll get all of the kind of marketing promotional material over the course of today. So, yeah, that's really, really exciting. Obviously, we have to wait and see how the medical goes. There's always potential that things can go wrong with medicals. But as it stands at the moment, I'm feeling very, very positive. They're flying to Manchester. It would be very, very unlikely that the deal now doesn't happen. Very, very unlikely. And if it doesn't happen, the only reason why it wouldn't happen is if something comes up in the medical. And if something comes up in the medical, then we shouldn't be signing them anyway. If they find out that one of them's got an injury, then we obviously wouldn't want to sign them anyway. So, yeah, really, really happy about that. 2 players signing in one day. I can't remember the last time that happened. Geordie says, what numbers do you think they will take? I'm trying to remember what numbers are available. If anybody, I can't remember what numbers are even available. Let's have a look. So at the moment, what's available is, let's have a look at our squad. Well, surely De Ligt will be number 4, surely, I imagine. I don't know what Mazraoui was at Bayern Munich. If anybody knows, let me know. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, so I imagine De Ligt will be number 4. That would be my prediction. Mazraoui was number 40 at Ajax. Have we got a number 40 already? No, we don't have a number 40. So I assume they'll take the same shirt numbers as what they had at Bayern Munich, I imagine. That's usually what happens, right? Like, usually players want to have the same shirt numbers as what they had before. So, yeah, I imagine it will be number 4 for De Ligt and number... I'm just looking. Did I not upload a thumbnail on the video? That's a bit silly of me if I didn't upload a thumbnail. Let me have a look quickly. How did I manage that? Yeah, so those 2 players will be signing for Manchester United today. Oh, no, I did upload a thumbnail. Weird. Yeah, so number 4 for De Ligt, I imagine. And for Mazraoui, I imagine he'll take the same number, so number 40. I don't know why they would change numbers. Macmillan says he thinks Mazarawi will be number 19. Yeah, 4 is available. No one's number 4. Varane was number 4, wasn't he, last season? So, yeah, I imagine it will be... Someone's saying that Vitek is number 40. I can't see him on the website. I think Vitek's been loaned out. Vitek isn't on the first team website. Like Toby Collier is, Harry Amas is, Ethan Wheatley's all been added, but there's no sign of Vitek on the website. So I don't think he is number 40. Like, if they had number 40 in pre-season, that doesn't really mean anything. Pre-season, the numbers are all just kind of random. Whereas if you go on the actual official Manchester United website, it will show you in the squad section all of the players who are in the first team. So at the moment, there is no number 4 and there is no number 40. So I imagine it will be those numbers, but obviously I don't know for sure. We'll have to wait and see. Someone says Vitek is loaned out. There you go. So yeah, number 4 and number 19. I just wanted to talk as well quickly about Raphael Varane. I don't know if anybody saw this, but so obviously Varane left Manchester United. We all know that, right? And there were some people in the fan base who were really, really upset that Manchester United didn't give Varane a new contract. There were some people who were saying, you know, what are INEOS doing? They don't know what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. Like, there was some real negativity around letting Varane leave. So Varane's obviously moved to this Como 1907 club, where Cesc Fabregas is the manager in the Serie A. And he played yesterday. He made his debut against Sampdoria, Raphael Varane, and he went off injured after 20 minutes with, I think it's a knee injury. 20 minutes into his first ever game for his new club, and he's gone off injured. And as much as I love Varane, as much as I think he's a quality player, and as much as I enjoyed watching Varane play for Manchester United, I think letting Varane go was such a good decision from Manchester United, because if this was the Glazers doing the sporting side, the Glazers would have kept Varane. They would have much rather not had to spend more money on somebody than, you know, just keeping Varane. And I think they made the correct decision here, because it's literally proved it. 20 minutes into his debut, and Varane's gone off with a knee injury. So obviously I wish Varane a speedy recovery. I feel like Varane, like, when he left Manchester United, for me, had reached that point where he's already retired from international football at the age of like 29. He was injured like 50% of the time. It was getting to that point for me where you have to start considering whether, like, you just need to stop playing football, to be honest. And I think that this injury for Varane now is... It kind of just sums that up, doesn't it? 20 minutes into his debut and he's gone off with a knee injury, and apparently he's going to be out for months. So, yeah, I think we dodged a bullet there. And obviously, some would argue that we've signed Lenny Yoro, who's also now injured, but that's just how football is at the moment, you know? Ashley says you can't predict that. I mean, you kind of can predict that, because he was injured for 50% of our games last season. So the writing was on the wall that Varane is injury prone. Obviously, you can't predict that he would get injured on the 20th minute with this specific injury, but you could predict that if we kept Varane, he would have probably been injured a lot of the time, wouldn't he? Like, that's a pretty fair statement to make, I think. But yeah, obviously I wish him a speedy recovery. I love Varane. I think he's quality. But the only reason I'm bringing it up is that I think situations like this, we need to give INEOS some credit, because INEOS could have easily kept Raphael Varane, right, for another 3-4 year contract on 350k a week. But the injuries were a concern for him. His fitness was a concern. And instead of doing the easy option, which was to keep Varane, they said, right, we're going to let him go, which is obviously going to cause some upset in the fan base. There were some people, I remember, when Varane was announced that he was going, were like, they don't know what they're doing. Like, there was people already, you know, trying to shoot down INEOS after that one decision. But all I'm saying now is, at the time, I think a lot of us were like, it's sad that Varane's going, but I can understand INEOS' standpoint, because at the end of the day, we need players who are available. We need to have a reliable centre-back partnership who are available for the whole season. If you look at Arsenal, right, a lot of their success is built off their centre-back partnership, isn't it? Saliba and Gabriel. And they build off the back of that. Whereas Manchester United, our centre-back partnerships last season was all over the place. You had Casemiro playing there sometimes. You had Maguire, Johnny Evans sometimes. You had Willy Campoala, Martinez occasionally, Varane. Like, it was a complete mess. So there's no wonder that we struggle to play out from the back. There's no wonder that we struggle to see patterns of play when your centre-back partnership is changing every week. So that was the only point I was making, you know, that I think INEOS made a tough decision, which could have gone either way. And they'll look at the situation now and probably think, we've done the right thing here. He's gone. We've got 350 grand off our wage bill, which is like 20 million pounds a year in wages. And yeah, they've brought in Lenny Yoro. And I know Lenny Yoro's injured, so it kind of feels a little bit bittersweet. But yeah. Answers, what are your thoughts on Casemiro staying? I would be absolutely shocked if Casemiro goes, to be honest. I would be very, very shocked. I think Casemiro should be moved on, but we can all want things, right? But if nobody wants to buy Casemiro, me sat here saying, sell Casemiro, like, they're not going to sell him just because some random guy on YouTube's going to sell him, you know? So yeah, if the question is, should we sell Casemiro? I would say yes, but we can only sell him if there's a decent bid. And at the moment, there is no offers on the table. There is always still the potential that a Saudi club comes back in for him, but I do genuinely think that Erik ten Hag would quite like to keep Casemiro next season, because in pre-season, Casemiro was one of the better players. In the Manchester derby, in the Community Shield, Casemiro was one of the best players on the pitch, I think. He looks better. He looks like he's fit. He looks like he's had a good pre-season. So I'm not absolutely desperate to see Casemiro go, but if a big offer comes in, we're talking like 45, 50 million pounds, I would do it, because he's 32, he's on massive wages. If you don't sell him now, his resale value is only going to go down and down and down and down. So yeah, but I mean, you could flip that on its head. Casemiro might have a season like he did in his first year, and he might help us win the Europa League. We might win another FA Cup. Like, it's so hard to predict, isn't it? And I don't think there is really a right and wrong answer. The fact that he's had a full preseason, the fact that he's looked sharp in preseason, the fact that all of the kind of mistakes that he was making before, he seems to have kind of got over. I'm not saying he's, you know, prime Casemiro still. He still looks a little bit rusty, but he does look better than he did last season, to be fair. So that's my take on that. We've got over 1,400 people watching the video live now, but we've only got 250 likes. If everybody who's watching now could do me a small favour and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. Let's go for 1,000 likes on this episode. And we are now only 5 subscribers away from 36,500. So if this is your first time watching, please do go and subscribe. Everybody is welcome. Remember, once we hit 40k subscribers, I'm going to be giving out 2 brand new Manchester United shirts. I'll be doing a giveaway. I like to give back to this community, so make sure you go and subscribe if this is your first time watching. Everyone is welcome. And I can still see people in the chat saying, where can I see the clips of De Ligt and Mazraoui? So if you want to go and see the videos of De Ligt and Mazraoui boarding their private jet in Munich, then I've just dropped the link to that in the comments section. So there was a video that surfaced this morning of De Ligt and Mazraoui arriving at Munich airport, set to board a private jet to Manchester ahead of signing for our beautiful club. So if you want to go and watch that, I've just dropped a link in the chat to do that. Obviously, everyone is welcome. Go and check that out. But right, let's move on to some other stuff, though, because we have one other medical to bring you today, and it's on Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Now, there was a bit of a scare yesterday on the Aaron Wan-Bissaka deal, because apparently at the very, very last minute, Wan-Bissaka was still kicking up a fuss about his compensation package. So this will probably be the last time I go over this, because I have mentioned it a few times, but obviously for anybody who hasn't seen the previous shows, I want them to understand the context. So what effectively has happened is Aaron Wan-Bissaka had a 5-year contract at Manchester United, right? And then at the end of that 5-year contract, there was the option for 1 extra year. Now, this option was on the club side. So what that means is that Manchester United, effectively at the end of his 5-year contract, which was last summer, had a choice to make where they could either keep him for 1 year or he could leave for free. And Aaron Wan-Bissaka effectively had no say on this. So if he said, I want to go, he couldn't. Manchester United would have kept him for 1 more season. And they effectively said, you know what? They said, you know what? We want to keep you. We're going to keep you for 1 more year. But in this contract, it says that if Aaron Wan-Bissaka is sold in that final year, then Aaron Wan-Bissaka is due 50% of the sale price, which is crazy. It's pretty like a rare thing that happens. Not many other clubs do this. So yeah, he effectively was due 50% of the fee. And apparently yesterday, at the very, very last minute, he was meant to be getting on a train to go up to London from Manchester, or down to London even. And apparently there was more arguments about the money, but it has now been resolved. Wan-Bissaka will be doing his medical today. And I've got some more good news for you. I could see somebody in the chat watching it, so I've gone and had a look. I am literally live on a flight tracker right now, and I can see De Ligt and Mazraoui's private jet is currently over Manchester. I get excited about stuff like this, and some people might be like, I don't care, just give me transfer news. But like, you have to cherish these moments as a Manchester United fan, because we've been through so much over the last decade with the ownership, with the performances, with all of it, like the mood has been terrible at points. But I'm literally watching right now on the flight tracker website, the number one trending flight at the moment is De Ligt and Mazraoui's private jet, and it is currently hovering over Manchester, and it is literally about to land. I'm just zooming in just to see. Let me see if I can see an actual video of it. It says that it's estimated to land in about 30 seconds. So in about 30 seconds from now, De Ligt and Mazraoui will land in Manchester, and then we'll be travelling straight to Carrington. That gives me goosebumps. And I know some people are like, oh, I don't care, just bring me transfer news. But like, we need to cherish these moments. Like, these are the moments that are special in football. People in the chat are saying that Fabrizio's just tweeted. I assume they're saying that he's landed. I've literally got his flight up now, and I can see his plane. Let me have a look. Oh, he has landed. Yeah, I can see it on my flight tracker. The De Ligt and Mazraoui private jet has just landed in Manchester. So they're there. That's just amazing, isn't it? I'm going to be so excited when this double deal is announced. And more positive news as well, in the last couple of seconds, Wan-Bissaka is doing his medical right now. Just to keep on the topic of Wan-Bissaka, this is being confirmed by Fabrizio. It's being confirmed by Sky Sports that Aaron Wan-Bissaka is doing his West Ham medical as we speak. So this is just such great business. I think I'm so happy. Wan-Bissaka to West Ham, Mazraoui coming in as replacement. I think it's a really good replacement, and De Ligt signing as well. Like, we've got our prayers answered. People asking what the website's called. It's called it's just called Flight Tracker, I think. If you just type in Flight Tracker, yeah, you can go and have a look on that. So yes, that's amazing. Let me just double check if they have landed. And the thing is, right, I know people want me to talk about other stuff, but this is probably one of the biggest kind of days in our transfer history. To have 3 deals going through at the same time. Like, when was the last time you remember that happening? I don't remember that ever happening, to be honest. Ever. To have 3 deals happen like simultaneously, because that is what's happening right now. Wan-Bissaka to West Ham, and De Ligt and Mazraoui to... Yeah, his flight's landed. I've just checked. His flight is 100% landed. They've both arrived into Manchester. 2 deals over the line. So really, really happy about that. Yeah, how's everyone? What's everyone's mood right now? Like, let me know. How do you feel? I feel good. I feel really good. Ben says, are they on the same plane? Yes, they're on the same plane, mate. They're both on the same private jet. So, yeah, really, really good. And as well, actually, I forgot to mention, it's De Ligt's birthday today. De Ligt turns 25 today. It is his birthday. So we've not only got a new player signing today, but we have a birthday boy as well. De Ligt is celebrating his 25th birthday. And what a way to celebrate your birthday. Imagine that, right? You've just flown from Munich on a beautiful private jet alongside Mazraoui, who you've played with since you were a teenager at Ajax. You're landing into Manchester to go and reunite with Erik ten Hag, who was the manager who effectively made him the player he was. And you're doing that all on your 25th birthday, signing for the biggest club in the world. Like, imagine how they feel right now. I'm just over the moon. I'm so happy about it. They have landed. The eagle has landed, as they say. It's just great to finally get some good news, you know? It's just great to... Because the mood in the last couple of weeks, I'll be honest, the mood in the chat has been like pretty low, hasn't it? Some people have been second guessing INEOS already. Some people have been calling them Glazers 2.0. And like suddenly, within the space of 24 hours, everyone can actually see what INEOS are trying to do. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to say like, oh, I told you so, because I'm just not that type of person. But I always said that you've got to give INEOS like 2 or 3 transfer windows, and I think they've proved themselves in this window. I'm going to do a poll, actually, because I want to see how the mood is right now. And I want to ask you how you would rate this transfer window so far. So obviously, De Ligt and Mazraoui are going to sign. So we're going to do, how would you rate this window out of 10? Whilst I'm setting this up, if everyone could do me a small favour and smash a like on the video, that would be really, really appreciated. Let's try and get 2,000 likes on this video. It's a big day. Why not? Let's do it. And if this is your first time watching, please go and subscribe. So we're going to do a poll on how you'd rate the transfer window so far. Obviously, there's still 2 weeks left of the window. So, yeah, there's still plenty of time left to get some more deals over the line. But I want to see how everybody's feeling right now in this moment. So if you want to get involved in the poll, obviously you're more than welcome to do that. you can either do, well, you can see the poll on your screen, so go and do that right now. Ben says, would you love to go to the training ground and meet them? Mate, I would absolutely love to do that. I think next summer, I will probably try and go on the pre-season tour, I reckon. That's what my goal is for next year, to build the channel to a point where, you know, I can go on the pre-season tour, I can, you know, be sat in the press conferences and stuff like that. That's my goal for this time next summer. So let's try and achieve that as a community. Because imagine that, right? If by this time next year, I'm able to go on the pre-season tour, you know, go and watch the players train in open training. Like that's my personal goal for this channel, to get to that point. Whether or not it will, I don't know. Obviously, it's very hard work. It's very competitive. But yeah, I think if you guys continue to support the way that you have been, then I think it's definitely achievable. So yeah, that's my goal for next year, to go on the preseason tour, to meet the players, to watch the training sessions and stuff. So that'll be cool. But anyway, let's move on from that. Let's jump on to, let's move over to Mario Hermoso. Let's keep up the positive vibes this morning. You know, there's no need for negativity today. It's a good day for Manchester United. So let's talk about Mario Hermoso. So as it stands at the moment, this is being widely reported that apparently Manchester United are leading the race to sign Mario Hermoso. Obviously, he was at Atletico Madrid last season. He left at the end of his contract in June. Now, just to be very, very clear, before people say like, oh, he's a flop, Atletico Madrid didn't want him, that's completely false. So the situation with Mario Hermoso is this. He was playing at Atletico Madrid. He played in over 42 games for Atletico Madrid last season in all competitions. I think he played about 30 times in La Liga. Now, the issue was he was on about 150k a week, which is a lot, right, for Atletico Madrid. He was on about 150k a week, and apparently Atletico offered him a new deal, but on around 100k a week. And he said, you know what? I'm not happy with that. I think I can earn more going somewhere else. I want to try a new experience. So effectively he left, which I think is kind of fair. I can see it from both sides, because obviously Atletico Madrid are looking at the situation thinking he's 29, he wants a 3-year contract, and he wants, you know, 150k a week. So yeah, effectively he's left Atletico Madrid. He's a free agent. He's not going to cost any money. On the market, if we had to actually buy him, he'd probably be like a 25, 30 million pound player. So we'd be getting a really, really good deal here. He's a left-sided centre-back. He's left-footed, can also play at left-back. From what I've seen of him, he's most effective in a back three, which, let's be honest, Manchester United could do. You know, now that we've got De Ligt, Martinez, Lenny Yoro, and if we get Hermoso as well, we could easily play a back three at points next season in certain games. I wouldn't want us to do it like against a bottom half Premier League team at home. But, you know, if we're playing a really, really difficult team in the Europa League, or we're playing Arsenal away or something, we could maybe go to a back three, as it does provide a little bit more defensive stability. So yeah, I think Mario Hermoso to Manchester United is definitely one that Manchester United should be doing. Wages-wise, as I said, he's asking for around 130 grand a week, which I don't think is that bad, to be honest. I think it's quite reasonable, because when you think that Victor Lindelof is on about 130k a week, and it looks like Victor Lindelof will be leaving the club this summer, if Manchester United can get 6 to 9 million for Victor Lindelof, then we should easily just go and spend that money in wages on Mario Hermoso. Let me just blow my nose quickly. My hay fever is really bad today. So yeah, Mario Hermoso to Manchester United is definitely one to keep an eye on. It's one that looks like it will happen. Obviously, at the moment, we're waiting for the De Ligt deal and Mazraoui deal to be announced. But as we've seen from INEOS, right, they're not working on one deal at a time. And I was sat last night, right? It was a Sunday. I'd been out for a nice walk. It's a beautiful day. The mood was good. And I was thinking, I don't recognise Manchester United anymore. And maybe some will say you're being too premature. You're being naive. You know, we haven't even started the season yet. But in relation to this transfer window, I don't recognise our club anymore. And INEOS have done that in the space of 8 weeks. And I don't think that's an over-exaggeration. If you look through all of the deals that we've done, Joshua Zirkzee for 34 million, amazing deal. Lenny Yoro for 42 million, beating Real Madrid, PSG and Liverpool to that signing. Yes, I know he's injured, but put the injury aside, Lenny Yoro was an amazing signing for that price as well. For somebody who could easily go on to be one of the best centre-backs in the world, right? We then make Bayern Munich wait, and we get De Ligt for only £38 million. I mean, that is an absolute bargain in itself. And then, to add more positivity to it, we go and get Mazraoui for only £13 million. And I just couldn't believe it, right? That Manchester United are negotiating for 3 deals at the same time. You know, we had De Ligt, Mazraoui and Wan-Bissaka all doing their medicals today. If this was in the previous regime with John Murtough, Ed Woodward, Richard Arnold, you'd be lucky to get 1 deal done. They'd spend all summer negotiating for Frankie de Jong. They'd fly off there. They'd be having, extensive business trips, late night bottles of Estrella, and they'd come back empty-handed. There'd be pictures of them speaking with the Barcelona directors. They'd spend all summer negotiating for 1 deal, and they would get nothing done. And that was what used to happen every single summer under the Glazers. It did. And then it would get to the final week of the window and we'd go and spend 95 million on Antony, or we'd go and spend big money on a player who was past their best, or we'd go and sign someone like Ibrahimovic. Like, at the time, this felt great because they were big name signings. But when you actually think about it and you analyse it, all of the transfer business we used to do was just a mess. None of it fitted a certain style of play. None of it fitted like a model. There was no, let's bring players in under the age of 25. Let's bring players in who have this certain characteristic. It was just like, who's a big name player? Oh, okay, let's bring in Ibrahimovic. Oh, let's bring in Lukaku. Let's bring in Pogba. Let's bring in Di Maria. Let's bring in Alexis Sanchez. Like, it was just a complete mess. And I know some of the people we've signed so far aren't like marquee signings, but I would much rather it be like this going forward than us just waste money on, subpar players just because they have big brands behind them or they have big names. Like, I'm not for that. But yeah, let me know how you're all feeling about it. We've got a super chat coming in from Ant, and Ant is saying, Leacher plus De Ligt equals leadership. I can't wait. Mate, I exactly feel your same enthusiasm this morning. I'm honestly so happy with the situation around Manchester United at this point. And I just think as long as we can get those two in the game against Fulham on Friday, I think that has to be the goal. Like, they need to be in that game. They're both fit. They've both been involved in pre-season. So there's no reason why Mazraoui and De Ligt can't start against Fulham, because we need them, really. I know Maguire can do a job, but yeah, I want De Ligt to start that game. And the thing that we have to remember is, right, although they've only just signed, De Ligt and Mazraoui played for Erik ten Hag for a number of years. They know exactly what Erik ten Hag demands of his players. They know exactly where he wants them on the pitch. So it's not like a player who needs to gel back into the team. They're going to be playing alongside, right? Martinez, they've both played with, and Onana, they've both played with. So 4 of the back 5 would have all played together previously. The only one who won't have is Dalot. So there's absolutely zero reason why we can't play that game on Friday with them in the same squad. You know, they'll have played together for years and years and years and years. So yeah, I think they will start. I'd be very surprised if they didn't. But at the same time, I do trust Erik ten Hag. And if he says they're not ready, they're not fit, then obviously we have to, trust what Erik ten Hag says. But yeah, we'll wait and see. We should get the announcement today. So Fabrizio's just come out as well in the last couple of minutes just to give you the full roundup on the De Ligt and Mazraoui deal. He says that the plane has now landed. They're going to Carrington, medical test, and a 5-year contract will be signed. So there you go. Confirmation that the plane has landed. I love like watching the planes and stuff. I know people are like, oh, I just love it. I just think it's exciting, It is exciting. Andrew says, do you think De Jong will end up at Manchester United? Oh, I don't know. De Jong. Do I think De Jong will come to Manchester United? I wouldn't be surprised, being honest. I mean, if we can get De Jong for a good price and he doesn't want crazy wages, then I think Manchester United will try and do it. But there's lots of if, buts and maybes there. So I don't know. There are stories linking Manchester United to De Jong, by the way. Quite a lot of them. I'm going to read out a couple now, actually, which we can go through together. But yeah, there are a lot of people saying that Frankie de Jong to Manchester United is a strong possibility. So this was coming out from a guy called, I'm probably not going to be able to pronounce his name very well. His name's Ekram Konur. He's got 250,000 followers on Twitter. He seems to be quite reliable with a lot of stuff, and he is reporting today that Frankie de Jong has been officially offered to Manchester United. He says the club's owners, INEOS, are seriously considering signing de Jong. He says this potential transfer could significantly strengthen United's midfield, adding a player of de Jong's calibre and experience. So at the moment, realistically, all of the murmurs that you hear about de Jong is more coming from the agent / Barcelona side. Barcelona want to move him on. So there is always the potential, you know? But I think at the moment it is just speculation. It is just agent driven. It's driven from Barcelona's desire to sell him effectively, which I don't think really is that appealing, you know? Barcelona want rid of Frankie de Jong. He's on 700,000 euros a week. He's injured a lot. He missed a lot of the season through injury. I think even in fact he's injured right now. So when you add all of those things together, I don't think it's a very appealing prospect. If someone said to me, you could sign de Jong for free and he wants 200 grand a week, I would do it, you know? But Barcelona are going to want 40, 50k a week. 40, 50 million euros. And they're also he's also going to demand massive wages. So although he's a good player, and although obviously he's worked with Erik ten Hag, and I'm sure he would do well in the Premier League, I just think that the cost involved in that deal, as it stands at the moment, is way too high, you know? Yeah, but you can let me know, like, should Manchester United go back in for Frankie de Jong? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. For me personally, it's a no, unless obviously it's like a very favourable deal. Like if they were like, we'll loan him to you for a season and then you can buy him at the end of it, like I would probably do that. But to just go all out and sign Frankie de Jong now, I don't know, it just doesn't make much sense to me. Like we want Manuel Ugarte, and I would probably go as far as saying like Manuel Ugarte and Sander Berg, or whatever he's... I keep saying Sander Berger and people laugh at me. Manuel Ugarte and Sander Berg would be a better option for Manchester United in the immediate future than Frankie de Jong, because we need a CDM, and Frankie de Jong isn't a CDM. Frankie de Jong's more of like a number 8 box to box, isn't he? So yeah, it's probably a no from me based on the current kind of price of the deal, the wages and all the rest of it. But obviously if things change and, you know, in a week's time a story comes out saying that they want to do a loan to buy, or, you know, Frankie de Jong's willing to massively reduce his wages, then obviously you'd have to consider it. But as it stands at the moment, Frankie de Jong to Manchester United for me, I just think it's going to cost way too much money. So yeah, but let me know what you guys think. Like, would you like to see Frankie de Jong at Manchester United? For me, it's a no. We've got over 1,800 people watching the show live now, which is amazing. We've only got 600 likes though. If everybody who's watching can hit the like button really, really quickly, let's try and get to 2,000 people watching. So how YouTube works, for anybody who doesn't know, the more people that like the video, the more that YouTube will show it to other people. It's a stupid system, but that's just how it works. So I know it's annoying that I ask. I appreciate that, but it's the classic thing in life, isn't it? If you don't ask, you don't get. And I know people like to wait until the end of the video. They like to see whether they've enjoyed the video and all the rest of it. But, you know, if you generally enjoy the content that we do, I do ask that you give it a like. And yeah, make sure you subscribe as well. Peter says, what's going on with Chido Obi Martin? So in relation to Chido Obi Martin, he's done his medical. There's no problems. There's a small issue where, because Manchester United have signed him for free from Arsenal, they have to agree a compensation package. And apparently that's what's being negotiated at the moment. So I don't know how much it's going to be. It has to go through some sort of court or something. And Manchester United will effectively have to pay Arsenal a fee. It's not going to be much. It'll probably be like a few £100,000, you know? But they will have to pay him something for free. They will have to pay some sort of fee. So yeah, that's why the deal hasn't been announced, because as it stands at the moment, he's technically not a Manchester United player. He's done his medical, his contract's ready. He's 100% going to join Manchester United, but it's more of like a legality thing where they can't announce him until they've agreed this payoff with Arsenal, which is annoying, but it's just how it works in football. Right, I want to move over to Jadon Sancho. The mood to this point has been up here, right? Everyone's on cloud 9, but obviously I have to bring you all of the news, and I assume most of you have already seen, but Desiree Doué is joining PSG. That's been confirmed. It looked like he was going to go to Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich were leading the race. It was almost nailed on that he was going to go to Bayern, and at the very, very last minute, PSG seemed to have managed to convince him to come. So yeah, we've had the here we go of Desiree Doué to PSG. Now you're probably thinking, why are you telling me about this? I don't care. But the reason I'm bringing this up is he plays in the same position as where Jadon Sancho does. Obviously, there was talks of PSG going for Jadon Sancho, but I think now that they're signing Desiree Doué, it probably squashes the Jadon Sancho to PSG story, to be honest. I mean, this hasn't been confirmed by yet, but the only stories we had about Sancho was that they were interested, and, you know, no bid was put in. So it's clear to see that PSG wanted this Desiree Doué guy, and they've got their player. That's been confirmed by Fabrizio. So I think Jadon Sancho at the moment is looking increasingly likely to stay, which I'll be honest, I don't have a massive problem with. Unless we can get a really, really good transfer fee for Jadon Sancho, then I personally wouldn't sell him. I do like him. I think he has got a lot of qualities, but what I will say is this. You only see the best in Jadon Sancho if he's happy and he's in the right place mentally. And the hardest job for Erik ten Hag, Ruud van Nistelrooy and Rene Haak is going to be working out how to make Jadon Sancho happy. And I know some people are like, that's a disgrace. He's on 250 grand a week, that's life-changing money. He should be happy to be at Manchester United. But everybody's brains are wired differently. It's easy for us to sit here and say, why is Jadon Sancho not happy? He's playing for the biggest club in the world on 250 grand a week. Is he not happy? But that's just not how people's brains work. It might be for me or you, but we don't know what's going on in his head. We don't know what's going on in his personal circumstances. And the point I'm trying to make here is, effectively, it looks like we're going to be stuck with him, which I have no problem with, but we have to see the best in Jadon Sancho. And that's just as much on Erik ten Hag and Ruud van Nistelrooy as it is on the player himself, because people like Bruno, people like Onana, they don't need motivating. They go out every single day and they give 150%. Whether we lose 5-0, whether we win 5-0, Onana and Bruno will have that same mentality where they want to go and give 150%, right? There are certain players in our squad who are like that. They just go at it. Whereas there are other players like Rashford, like Sancho, a couple of others as well, which I can't really think of off the top of my head, but don't really have that same mentality. And they need to be almost like, they need that arm around them. They need that support. And that comes from the fan base as well. It's not just from the manager. So my message would be this. We need to back our players. Should Jadon Sancho be sold? Yes, but there's nobody who wants to buy him. So with that in mind, we need to try and put aside our personal feelings towards Sancho, towards the situation that happened with Ten Hag, and hope that this season is a good year for Jadon Sancho. That's what we have to hope, because at the moment, no one wants to buy him. And the window closes in 2 weeks. 2 weeks on Friday, the transfer window closes. PSG don't want him by the looks of it anymore. So, yeah. Ant says, Sancho must leave. I think he's still going to be an issue in the dressing room. The thing is, right, mate, I agree with you, okay? I agree. But us saying a player must leave doesn't then translate into another team putting a bid in for him. I could sit here and say this morning, Harry Maguire must leave. But that doesn't mean that West Ham or Everton are going to come and buy him. There's so much in-depth situations that have to happen. So in answer to people's questions, would I sell Jadon Sancho? Yes, for 45-50 million. Do I think Jadon Sancho will go? No, because the only club who were actually genuinely interested in paying any money for him was PSG, and they've just signed somebody else in that same position who's going to start every single week for PSG. So that's the reality of the situation. Things can change later in the window. Maybe someone gets an injury. I've seen a couple of people linking Sancho to Tottenham, which I thought was quite interesting. Apparently Sancho is quite keen to move back to London, but at the moment that's just kind of like, whispers. It's not actual hard transfer news yet. It's people saying that Sancho wants to go back to London. Tottenham are apparently looking for a winger, and they're kind of putting things together and, making up stories almost. So there is always the potential that someone comes in for him, but at the moment, I would say the likelihood of Jadon Sancho leaving is probably quite slim. He's on huge wages. Manchester United will want a massive transfer fee for him. Apparently, they want about 40-50 million pounds. So it's going to be a difficult deal to do, no matter who the club is. What does everybody think of the new Manchester United shirt, by the way? I assume you've all seen it, the new white shirt, the third kit. I absolutely love it. And just a reminder as well, when we hit 40,000 subscribers, I'm going to give out one of the new Manchester United. No, sorry, I'm going to give out two of them. So yeah, when we hit 40k subscribers, I'm going to do a giveaway for the new Manchester United shirt. I think it's probably my favourite Manchester United shirt in a very, very long time. I really, really like it. That's the one that I'm going to be buying. The third kit, the white one with the red, white and black. Really, really cool shirt, that one. So yeah, I would definitely be buying that. Okay, let's see what else I've got planned for the show this morning. Let me see what people are saying in the chat quickly. My computer sounds like it's going to die. Right, what else have we got in the chat today? Matty says, are you going to be doing a fantasy football league? Yes, I will be doing a fantasy football league. I will send a link in the chat to that in the next couple of days. So yeah, if you want to get involved in the fantasy football, yeah, drop your name in the comment section if you want to get involved in the fantasy football. And yeah, I will sort that. Ant says he hates the new shirt. Fair enough. Fair enough, mate. That's all. Obviously, it's all down to personal preference, isn't it? Like, some people are saying I like the blue one, others are saying they like the red one. Like, that's why they do all these different kits, because one shirt will be for someone and another will be for another, you know? That's just how it is. You know, it's all preference, it's all down to personal taste. So I understand. Macmillan says it's his daughter's birthday. Happy birthday to your daughter, mate. Hope you have a great day, whatever you're doing. Right, let's move on to the final bits of the transfer news then. Yeah, there is a little bit of news on outgoings as well. Apparently, Manchester United are going to have another meeting this week where they're going to discuss players to leave the club. Now, there's 4 players that we need to keep an eye on this week who look like they're probably going to go. So I'm going to run through it really, really quickly. I won't spend too much time on each one. So the first one's Victor Lindelof. Apparently, Lindelof is attracting interest from Italy and Saudi Arabia. Manchester United are asking for £6 to £9 million for Victor Lindelof. 1 year left on his contract. He's on 120 grand a week. Makes sense. Move him on. The next one is Hannibal Mejbri. Manchester United again asking for around £10 million for Hannibal Mejbri. There is strong links with Hannibal Mejbri and the French league. Obviously, he was originally at Monaco before he joined Manchester United. I don't know if people know that, but yeah, Hannibal started his career at Monaco and then moved to Manchester United. So there's strong links with Hannibal to go to Monaco. The third one is Scott McTominay. Fabrizio came out yesterday saying that apparently McTominay is one to watch in the next weeks of the window. He said that Casemiro doesn't look like he's leaving, but McTominay is likely to be attracting interest over the next couple of weeks. And then obviously Manuel Ugarte to be signed as his replacement. And then the fourth option, or the fourth player even, is Pellistri. And again, the stories coming out yesterday said that Bologna in Serie A, obviously where Joshua Zirkzee came from, apparently Bologna are in talks to sign Pellistri. So this week, we could get Lindelof, McTominay, Pellistri, Hannibal, and Wan-Bissaka all leaving the club. 5 players. Wages-wise, 100k a week for Wan-Bissaka, 120 for Lindelof, 20 for Pellistri, 20 for Hannibal, and about 60 for McTominay. So across those 5 players, we would save around 300 to 400 grand a week in wages. And we could potentially be raising 15 million for Wan-Bissaka, 10 million for Lindelof, 10 million for Hannibal, 10 million for Pellistri, and 25 million for McTominay. So over the 3 players, it's roughly about £70 million worth of money that could be coming in. So there's lots and lots of business that's still going to happen over the next few weeks. I think those are the most likely players to leave at this point. There are some murmurs that maybe Altay Bayindir might leave as well. Obviously, just because he's not really playing. But at the moment, that's kind of quite quiet at the moment. So yeah, Altay Bayindir is one to watch. But the main ones for this week are Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, Scott McTominay, Hannibal, and Pellistri. So yeah, lots and lots of deals still to be done. Manchester United are literally going full steam ahead now. And it's always this end of the window where teams start to ramp up their transfer business. The season starts on Friday. You know, teams will be getting injuries. So yeah, I think we're going to get lots of business this week. So that's really, really exciting to see. Obviously, I'll keep you updated as soon as we get any news on any of those players. So that's really, really positive. We've got over 1,700 people watching live now, which is absolutely amazing. Everyone who's still watching, if you could do me a little favour and like the video, that would be really appreciated. And we are now only 2 subscribers away from 36,600. So please go and subscribe if you haven't already. I've just dropped the link in the chat a couple of times, so go and subscribe now. And yeah, if you want to go and see the videos of De Ligt and Mazraoui on their private jet, I've just dropped a link to our Twitter. So over on Twitter, I'm very, very active on Twitter. So if you want to have some conversation with me, you want to speak a little bit more personally, yeah, over on Twitter is the best place to do that. So go and follow us on Twitter. Somebody in the chat is saying that apparently Man United have bid for for De Jong. Where are you seeing this, mate? I can't see that anywhere. I can't see anything about De Jong. I assume it's probably just a clickbait story. I think if we'd seen a bid for De Jong going in, it would be everywhere. Just a quick one, actually. I want to send a massive shout out to Alejandro Garnacho and Kobe Mainoo, who have been nominated for the PFA Young Player of the Year award. So congratulations to them. The other nominees are Michael Olise, Cole Palmer, Joao Pedro, and Bukayo Saka. I mean, to be honest, it's going to be Cole Palmer, isn't it, realistically? But that's still really good that they've been nominated for it. Like, Cole Palmer's going to win it. He how many goals did he score? Like 20 goals in the Premier League last season. But still, that's amazing that they've both been included in that. Yeah, I can't see anything about this De Jong story, to be honest. So I think whoever said that, I think it's probably just a clickbait story that, you know, has gone up on the Manchester Evening News. Manchester Evening News puts a lot of clickbait on their website, a lot. Somebody's saying, why is Antony not being sold? The thing is, right, as I said a couple of minutes ago, nobody wants to buy Antony. Like, we can all sit here and say, sell Antony, but if nobody wants to buy him, then somebody's saying that a bid has been rejected. Somebody else. Where are you seeing this story? I'm literally on the Manchester Evening News. All right, here we go. I can see it here. So this is coming from someone called Liam Wood. This story was at 4 a.m. this morning, though. So this is coming out from a publication called Nacional, and it says that Barcelona have rejected an offer worth 42.9 million for Frankie de Jong. Let me see if I can find the actual real story. How do we translate it? Hold on. Let me just get this up. Okay, so this is coming out from Nacional. This story was on the Friday, the 9th of August, though. This is the thing, right, that we've got to be very, very careful about. Let me just check. This is the thing that we have to be very careful about. Like, places like Manchester Evening News, right, they recycle news and they put it out as, like, breaking news. So Manchester Evening News have just gone live with Frankie de Jong bid rejected, right? This story was reported by a Spanish newspaper on Friday, the 9th of August at 1 p.m., okay? And they've said on Friday last week that Man United had a bid rejected of £42 million. But obviously this is nowhere to be seen other than on this one article. So yeah, I would say it's fake news, to be honest. It's obviously just a way of... They've sucked me into it, you know? So yeah, I don't think it's true. I think it's fake. It's not even been reported by the Manchester Evening News, by the way. This is reported by a newspaper called Nacional. But then what Manchester Evening News have done is they've put it up on their website, like, De Jong bid rejected. But when you actually track back where the source has originally come from, it said the story was posted on Friday at 1 o'clock. And obviously nobody else has mentioned it since. You know, you haven't had a Fabrizio Romano, you haven't had a David Ornstein, like, nowhere. So if this was a genuine story, somebody else would have reported it. So yeah, it is frustrating, and it's just what they do. It's what they do to suck us in, and effectively we have been sucked in. I've just gone and clicked on their website. I've just given them probably some ad revenue, but realistically, all that's really happened here is they've just, you know, repeated a story that was probably never true in the first place and put it out as new news. And they can get away with that because in the thing it says, according to somebody else. So they've put it on their website, but they haven't said it's actually their information. They've said it's someone else's information. They don't say when that information was posted. And then when you actually look back at where it's come from, it was from Friday last week. So yeah. But thank you for bringing it to my attention anyway, though. I do really, really appreciate, you know, everybody who pitches in the live chat and, you know, wants to get involved in the show. I really, really appreciate that. Because when I saw it, I was like, what? Frankie de Jong bid? I was like, oh my God. It would have been literally Ajax past and present, wouldn't it? Eriksen's played for Ajax. Antony has, Onana has, De Ligt has, Martinez has, Mazraoui has. If you got De Jong as well, 7 players out of 11 would be Ajax players. That's mad, isn't it? I'll be honest, right? I said this on Twitter earlier. If they're the best players available in that position, I don't really care whether they've played for Ajax before. Like, it doesn't make any difference to me. But I would argue this. I don't think Frankie de Jong is the best player in that position. So that would be a little bit questionable. You know, we don't really need Frankie de Jong. We've got Mainoo, we've got Mason Mount, we've got Bruno. Like, they're all similar profile players. we need like a CDM, don't we? And Frankie de Jong isn't really a CDM, so yeah. Josh says the third kit has been unveiled. Yes, I love the new third kit, mate. I'm going to be buying that one myself. And as I said a couple of minutes ago, when we hit 40k subscribers, I'm going to give out 2 of the new third kit. You can have any shirt name, any shirt, any name on the shirt, any what do you call it? Any number. You can get whatever you want. So yeah. Let's see what else you've got. Andrew says, what is your prediction for the starting lineup for the Fulham game? That's a great question. If anybody wants to get involved in this part, obviously you can. Let me know. I'm going to say this. Starting lineup, I'm going with Onana in goal, Dalot at left back, Martinez, De Ligt as the 2 centre-backs. I'm going for Mazraoui at right back, midfield 3 of Bruno, Mount and Casemiro. I'm going with Garnacho on the left, Xerxes down the middle, and Ahmad on the right. That's what I would do, personally. So no Rashford, no Johnny Evans, no Maguire. Yeah, that would be my preference. But you can let me know what you think in the comment section. Jarvis says, Kieran, let's say hypothetically that we signed Frankie de Jong this summer. Where do you think he would play? That's my point. Like, he's not a CDM, so he'd have to either take Bruno's position or Mainoo's position. Unless, plot twist, unless you play Bruno as a false 9. But then what happens to Mason Mount? We spent 60 million on Mason Mount last summer. Like, Mason Mount needs to play this season. He has to play this season. And I just don't think we need more depth in that midfield area. We need more depth in the more defensive area of our midfield, don't we? So, yeah, that would be my take on that. Mainly for Golden Boy says, do you think Xerxes will start? I think it will. I think he will, to be honest. I'd be very surprised if Xerxes doesn't start. It's the first game of the season. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff under the floodlights at Old Trafford. What better way to start than there? I just thought as well, we're going to have 4 players unveiled at Old Trafford in that game. We're going to have Xerxes, Lenny Yoro, Mazraoui, and De Ligt all being unveiled at the same time on that game. It's making me want to go to the game now. It is tempting. Friday. Maybe I will. I'll have a think about it. Maybe I will go to the game on Friday. Right, what else have we got? Joshua says, do you think Kobe Mainoo can play as a CDM? I think he could, but I think he's more effective, like, a bit further up the pitch. I think if push comes to shove, you could play Mainoo as a CDM, but I think Mainoo will be more of a box-to-box midfielder, I think, personally. That's where I think he's better, because he's very good on the ball. He's good at progressing the ball forward. He's very good at picking it up and running with it. So yeah, I personally would prefer to see Mainoo a little bit further up the pitch. But for argument's sake, yeah, I'm sure he could play as a CDM. Right, I'm just going to see if there's anything else that's broken since we've gone live. Let's have a look. I think we've covered everything, to be honest. I think the morning shows are my favourite because there's so much news to report. There's so much to discuss. And the mood always seems to be quite happy in the morning. So yeah, I love the morning shows. Just to say as well, once I finish this video, I will be heading over to Twitter. I'll be posting on Twitter all day today, giving you updates on De Ligt, on Mazraoui, on all of that stuff. So if you want to continue speaking to me after this video ends, the best place to do that is on Twitter. I'm going to drop a link to do that in the chat now, and I'm going to pin it to the top. So once this video ends, come and join me on Twitter. Say hello. Dominaza says, are you picking Mount over Mainoo? Nah, the midfield 3 for me has to be Mainoo, Bruno, and Casemiro. That's what I would do on Friday, 100%. Mason Mount is more of a central attacking midfielder, isn't he? So yeah, I'm definitely picking Mainoo over Mount, 100%. I think in certain games you could probably play Mount, Mainoo, and Bruno in certain games, but yeah, generally, I think it may be a little bit too attacking, to be honest. Right, let me just double check if there's anything else before I end the video. Let me have a quick look. I think we've covered everything. I mean, it's been an amazing show today, guys. We've had, I think, 1,800 people watching for most of it. We've got a super chat coming in from Carl Took. Thank you for your chat, mate. He says, if we don't get CDM and McTominay out, it's 4 out of 10. Wow. Crazy. So obviously we've been asking people who've been watching the video how they rate the transfer window so far. And Carl Took, I think that's how you say your name. Thank you for your super chat. Carl Took thinks that if we don't sign a CDM and McTominay doesn't leave, it will be a 4 out of 10. I would agree that we need a CDM. But, I mean, if we sign a CDM and McTominay stays, then I think it's okay. But I get what you're saying, yeah. But thank you for your super chat. Thank you for having your, having your say and getting involved in the channel. I really, really appreciate that. Ant says, would you sell Dalot to Real Madrid? Would I sell Dalot to Real Madrid? No, I wouldn't. I know there was links with him going to Real Madrid yesterday, but nah, I wouldn't sell Dalot. I think he's quality. I mean, if they offer 100 million or something, then obviously I'd sell him. But, for 30, 40 million pounds, I don't think Dalot's worth selling, Because you've got to remember, right? Dalot can play at left back. So is there a world where Dalot just moves over to left back and then Mazraoui plays at right back, Like, that's a possibility. So, yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. But I'm going to end the video here, guys. I will be back at lunchtime for the afternoon roundup. It will be like a 1:30 show. Anybody who's asking for a roundup of the whole show, it's been like an hours-long show. So just what I'd say is as soon as the video finishes, if you want to go back and watch from the beginning, that'll be the best way to hear everything. So yeah, start the video again. And thank you very much, everybody. It's been a really great show today. I'll be back at 1:30. Have a lovely day. Please make sure to smash a like before you leave. It really helps the channel. It doesn't cost you any money. So unless you don't like the videos, then I don't know why you wouldn't do it. Make sure you subscribe as well. I've just dropped a link into the chat to do that. And yeah, come and say hello over on Twitter. I've just made a Twitter. I'm very active over there. So if you want to come and have some conversation with me, if you want to ask me a question, whatever, you can do that on Twitter. The link is in the chat. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll be back at 1:30. Have a great day. Bye for now.